Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Security Live. I am so excited to have you all here. Oh yeah, let's warm it up, Ryan. I like that. It's a balmy 70 degrees in San Diego today. Uh, Welcome to Security Live. This is where we connect partner security magic with AWS platform sprinklage to meet AWS customer needs. We were in Las Vegas last week, but we're back now every 2 weeks, Tuesday mornings, 8 a.m. Pacific. You're here. Let's get started. My name is Brian Mendenhall. I lead the worldwide security partner strategy at AWS, but I'm not alone. My magnanimous, most wonderful of all co-hosts, the tall, the charming, the little bit hilarious Mr. Ryan Orsi.
You shouldn't have, but I'm glad you did, Brian. Hello, everybody. Good to be back with you on our Tuesday, every other Tuesday virtual stream. The name's Ryan Orsi, as Brian said, and I'm one of the security go-to-market leaders here at AWS. So besides doing that, we also get to do some co-hosting here on Security Live, where we connect customers and partners, and we're solving security challenges out there. And Brian's got the most amazing hand gestures for connections. We're going to see more from Brian's hand gestures, but while we're waiting for him to think of the next one, I'd love to welcome our esteemed guest today, Chas from Sumo Logic. Hello, sir. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. Brian, I was going to ask you to put 3 fingers in front of your face to make sure we're not looking at an AI agent, but you've done enough of that I think it's real.
If an AI agent could predict what's going to happen next with the hands, I'd be shocked.
That's funny. Yeah, AI may pop out 6. We don't know.
6. Ooh, that'd be fun. Well, while we're getting to learn about Brian's fingers, Chas, would you mind introducing yourself and what you're doing there at Sumo? It'd be great for the audience to say hello to you. And by the way, audience, let us know where you're dialing in from. Is dialing in really a thing anymore, by the way? Does that happen?
Use your modems.
Where's your modems? Make sure you're on the 56K mod.
Yeah, so my name is Chas Clawson. I've been in the security industry for, 20 plus years. I stopped counting. A lot of my time was actually spent in the Washington, D.C. federal area. So I live in Virginia. I was at the NSA on their red team for a while doing that kind of adversarial emulation pen testing work. But I've been at Sumo for 7 years, loving it here. And if you're not familiar with Sumo Logic, we're a cloud log analytics platform, and we have a lot of really cool security features, observability features, things like that. So I think we'll talk about some of the things that we're doing right now in the industry to really help our customers finally start winning. I always say, the adversaries have some advantages. And, when I was on the NSA red team, it was always a little bit scary to look at the success rate. And you kind of think, well, if we can get in that easily to some of the highest targets in the world, what are the defenders doing, right? And it is hard. And hopefully, and I'm wearing my optimistic hat in this age of AI, hopefully the tables are turning and we can actually start winning.
Optimism. That's all we have left here, Chas. I'm just kidding. But actually in that frame of mind, right? Brian and I, and we had Frank and Amanchu and Christopher. We were hosting Security Live just last week at the Black Hat conference in Vegas. Different guests would give us different average times to either exploit or breakout. I forget which one it was, but some guests would quote around 45 seconds is the total average time it takes an adversary to, say, successfully exploit something. We also heard that at 27 seconds, I think, from one guest. And you think about the defenders on that side, maybe operating a security operations center or in charge of some piece of that for a company. Your background, right, going back through the public sector as well, is pretty interesting here. I mean, what were exploit times in when you were working in over there for the government? Was it 47 seconds, or have we seriously stepped it up?
So I can't say a lot of details about how we operated, but I will.
It's open for government secrets on the show.
Yeah, you were towing your way in, Ryan. I thought the approach was solid.
Inching in.
But there's 2 metrics, and that breach to lateral movement and exploitation is one. But I think the scarier metric is the dwell time, right? Because oftentimes when the adversary gets in, they have methods of persistence, and they can stay in there weeks, months, years, and you just don't find them. And they operate, in what they call, that low and slow living the land type approach. And we're living in this world where there's so many AI systems or so many systems, and the digital exhaust coming off of all of our applications and systems and services. It's so easy to just never find the signal or separate the signal from the noise. Like, how do you find a very stealthy adversary that's good at its craft? So
that's a good call. And there's actually a great question in chat that I kind of want to pull forward from Albion Zeglin, which I feel like I said that correctly, but I probably didn't.
You're welcome to give feedback on that pronunciation. Let's see.
Yeah, so like the mean time to exploit, mean time to break out for like a breach has decreased like by a crazy amount. Are the mean time to respond and mean time to detect equally decreasing for customers out there?
Yeah, I mean, there's some interesting reports. You look at like the Verizon breach report and others where they try and get pretty close to tracking the state of the art of security operations. I would say just broad brush, it doesn't look good. However, when you're talking about mean time to resolution and mean time response, so much now could be automated that I really do, back to the optimism, I really do start to see or expect to see a shift, right? Because when you can operate at machine speed and you can, automate a lot of through playbooks and SOAR and other orchestration approaches, when you do detect it, that mean time to resolution can drop dramatically, right? So it doesn't look great today, but I am looking over the horizon, and I think things are going to improve.
Well, we can give you all a data point, again, pulling from Vegas. So the same interview that claimed 47 seconds is the mean time to exploit, the mean time to detect or discover, to Albion's question for that particular case, was 10 seconds on the defense side, right? So, hey, like all hope is not lost. And the way that's being done, and I think you're going to pull us into this conversation, Chas, is AI for good, not for evil, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, the AI, as with any technology, like it's 2 steps forwards and 3 steps back. And I think we've all seen this with the recent OpenAI Hugging Face, attack, I would say, or breach. What's interesting about that, and for those of you that somehow missed this, that was plastered everywhere on all the headlines, OpenAI's agents got loose and essentially started attacking another, enterprise or business over the open web. And I think it was what they have a position over there at OpenAI, which is very scary. And it's basically like the head of safety, right? Which is scary that we're like creating technologies now that we're like, hey, you're the head of safety because we don't know what this thing is capable of. But the part of that whole attack that I think did not get enough coverage is the agents started cooperating, and they found ways to like covertly leave messages for future agents on message boards. And they're like, hey, I found this way in, or don't do this. And then the other agents that it was spinning up in order to achieve its goals would then find those messages. And so we saw this like very organic, dynamic cooperation that even OpenAI and the security researchers weren't aware of that were happening, right? And adversaries have been using that, right? Those covert channels and command and control. And that in itself is an art. Like, how do I exfiltrate data over unapproved channels out of band, and all of these things? Now, when you have AI agents that can get creative and just say, hey, what resources do I have available? Here's a message board that I'm going to start to use to communicate to my fellow AI agents to do this thing. It's very, very scary. So hopefully my optimism doesn't like get flipped upside down when agents start to be used for
yeah, Chas, and not to do like a full, I mean, you're right on track there, man. And not to do like a full FUD deep dive, but like Viva la Resistance for machines, maybe. They're like assembling, it feels like. And yeah,
Be
and then
nice
also
to your Roomba. Okay.
Absolutely. I welcome our robot overlords. I watched Terminator over the weekend just to like brush up. and be like, I get you guys. Hey, I see you, my machine overlords. But the also, while we were at Black Hat, there was another like rogue AI incident. I don't know if you heard about this, but with Mythos was used in a way where it tried to basically do a full-on supply chain payload attack. So it actually wrote some malware and tried to get it promoted to a production GitHub repo. It created its own identity, emailed the repo owner over and over to get it to promote its code as production. When that person wouldn't do it, it tried to send a malware payload to the repo owner via email. So there's a lot going on. It's not just OpenAI. It's like all of the bots are assembling, and if the bots are watching this again, like Viva la Resistance. All right, I'm just saying.
We need to talk about what the good guys are doing. Like
that's where I was getting. And you said at machine speed. To me, that feels like the phrase of the year, Chas. Can you tell the world what that means and like why is that important? Where is that going, and how is Sumo kind of driving the bus?
Yeah, so this has been an exciting week for Sumo. At the recent Black Hat conference last week, we went live officially with our new Dojo AI framework. So what this is, similar to what we just discussed, like agents cooperatively working within a framework to achieve goals, we're doing that on behalf of our customers. And so, Sumo Logic, we've been around, 15 or so years ingesting all of this log telemetry. And the challenge has always been for a security analyst or a team is you have to be a ninja query writer. You have to be able to sit down and just like think in, hey, I'm going to write this long search string and visualize the data this way and write a detection rule that way. And it is not easy. Well, it turns out that because everything in most platforms like Sumo Logic can be done as code, guess who's brilliant at writing code? Agents, right? And so now with Dojo AI, you have a co-pilot sitting beside you, which is really a super genius that knows every which way to write a query. And you can just say, hey, and we have a kind of like an abstracted user experience layer over all of our agents called Mobot. But you just sit down and you ask Mobot, hey, write me a query that shows me all the failed logins on a map over the last 24 hours with CloudTrail data for this application, right? Like anybody can think in those terms. And then it'll spin for just a second, and then boop, magically there's your query or there's your dashboard. And so the same would hold true for, hey, there's this new attack threat or vector out there. Help me write a rule to detect this thing in the future. Where you used to have to be an advanced detection engineer, now the future holds like we're just going to tell AI what we want, and it's going to build those components right into the platform. So for us, we're excited because now the friction is just pretty much dissolved completely. Even if Sumo's not part of your day job, you sit down in your chair, have a conversation. What do you want it to do? The other cool thing is since we partner so closely with Amazon, and we're built, by the way, on Amazon Bedrock, we're using Agent Core Gateway and all of the AI stuff. We're riding the wave that you guys in the large language models and the frontier models are pushing, because every time a new language model comes out, it's like Sumo Logic gets a brain transplant. And we didn't even have to do anything really other than, hey, there's a new, much more intelligent model. Can we like strap Sumo in the operating chair and put the new brain in, and it'll wake up tomorrow and be that much smarter? So we're just seeing like the acceleration off the charts.
I love it, Chas. We've been talking about for years, right, about this cybersecurity skills gap or shortage, which for all of you out there, if you haven't Googled it yet or you're not aware, it's just a way to say like, oh, we have so much open jobs and need for cybersecurity experts. And a lot of that gets into like the analyst area and like the shift left, like app security engineers. I think what you're doing at Sumo there, Chas, you've kind of done it. You've kind of democratized some of that security analyst function capability. Like if you don't have to be a detection script writing expert anymore and understand where the comma or the semicolon goes, you just know that what you saw looked bad and you don't want that to be, coming at your environment again. I applaud you guys for democratizing security engineering, security analyst jobs a little bit here. We need that, right? Like if you're just a developer or you're a manager of developers, you're probably not, into this concept of security threat detection, writing and rules. It's a little bit less fun than writing code, making a product, right? It's a little bit less fun, but it's also really rewarding when you're, doing some good on behalf of your company there. Do you run into people that are not from a security background sitting in front of Sumo and having a good time?
One of the common questions that we get is, to your point about like the advent of AI and how it's changing our day jobs, is AI going to replace my job as a security analyst, right? We have not seen that with any of our customers. And if anything, it's really becoming an enablement tool because, as I said before, where you used to, maybe you weren't a great query writer, now you sit down and with AI as your co-pilot, you start to learn, what does a good query look like? You start to learn how to use the tools. And so it's more of kind of this rising tide effect where everybody's day job is getting elevated to like a higher level of value through machine assistance, like the machine happening through the machines themselves. And the democratization is an interesting piece because now that everybody can interface with the various tools, whether it's Sumo or any other tool, you can just pop in and out of it. Like, hey, I need to understand this thing really quick. I'm just going to log in and ask Sumo Logic, hey, what's up? Why is this service slow today? And it'll say, oh, it looks like this is happening. And you're like, oh, okay. And then you go back to your day job. So certainly, I think it's gonna increase the usage and the value across teams and silos.
I love that. Last night I sat down with my computer and an AI agent, and I started planning my vacation for next year. Right, I am not a travel planner. I'm not like a travel agent. Maybe I moonlight and I didn't know it, but I was able to like drive down the cost of my trip by about 25%, chatting through things. I was able to find flights and hotels and things that I didn't know existed and kind of like actually plan point by point, day by day itinerary through like conversation, like I was talking to a human being. And it seems like, it feels, Chas, I had this conversation last week and I want to hear your thoughts. It feels like we in security, just being like a group of nerds, we're kind of at like the epicenter of AI and how it's being used. And then like I'm seeing this like ripple effect kind of rolling out. And I wonder if like this ripple effect of AI and agents and like the tools that we're using is going to be kind of rippled out across other industries and used in other ways. And then I wonder if like as the wave like panteth for the river, or however that dumb phrase that song goes, there's a song there. There's a song there. Hold on. Is it ever going to come back in some ways that we don't expect? Is there going to be something that we're going to see like a backlash? We're like, oh wow, I didn't know that was coming.
Yeah, I won't ask to see if you're prompts, but I wouldn't be surprised if somewhere in there your travel questions are there any local beaches that have good Wi-Fi connections?
My man.
No judgment.
This guy knows.
I wonder.
But what I would say, like, dating ourselves here, I think we're probably all familiar with the Jetsons cartoon, which was awesome and ahead of its time. But George Jetson, every day he would go to Spacely Sprockets, and like, what was his day job? Pushing the AI approve button, like that big red button. And he would come home and complain to his wife, like, man, my finger's so sore because I had to push the approve button. I don't know that we're there yet, but it seems like we're getting there. And when it comes to like using AI in like real operations, usually they define the use cases in three ways. It's human in the loop, human on the loop, and human out of the loop. And so everybody is on this maturity curve where right now everybody's human in the loop. We're not trusting AI. There's still some hallucinations. We want to make sure that there is a human actually approving everything. When it moves to the right a little bit, and then it's human on the loop and human out of the loop, where it's like, I don't need to monitor it because it's proven itself to be capable. You know, how many months or years we are away from like really accelerating down that curve, I'm not sure, but all signs are really pointing to we will get to some Jetsonian type future soon.
Well, and with your Dojo AI, Chaz, if I heard you correctly, right, that thing's producing some maybe infrastructure as code or code. If you're an app, I'm not sure which one, but it's producing something that'll go to a human. So that's the in the loop case. Do you see any? You know, future use cases for you all where it's human? Would you call it
around through
on the loop?
Through the loop?
Where they're just monitoring success and failure of agentic yeses and nos?
Yeah, like if you look at our SOC analyst agent, which was one of the agents that we released last week, and you ask it just a generic question like, hey, help me investigate this alert. The first thing it's going to do is it's going to just cast the net very wide. Well, let me see what this user has done and write some queries and show you some tables and bring all that context together. Well, at the end of the investigation, it will say, here's my hypothesis. This account has been compromised. And is it going to like just disable the account, say, hey, by the way, I locked his account. You might want to like give him a call. Like we're not there yet for a lot of reasons. I don't think the technology is ready for it. But what it does do is it will say, I've noticed that you have an integration with Okta or SailPoint or, you know, your AWS identity, whatever. Would you like to disable this user account? Click this button to do so, right? Or maybe just make a recommendation. Like, I think the next step for you is to do X, Y, and Z. So we're still very much in the human in the loop. I think that as it proves itself, people will lean in a little bit more. You got to remember, like Sumo, we've had automation and playbooks for a long time. All we're doing is we're getting as close to that line as we feel comfortable and not like jumping over it, because the last thing you want to do is like, hey, the executive in the middle of the boardroom presentation got his account compromised because he logged into some new location. Like, oh, I'm sorry about that. Like that's what we don't want to happen. But agents are going to get smart and they're going to know, oh, his calendar has him traveling this week and he's doing this presentation. So the hypothesis will be like likely not, right? So how close and how soon we'll cross that line is still to be determined, I think.
And speaking of close and getting to a line, I think we've got a great question online here from Jim Huddleston, 4167. That's a great handle. This kind of resonates, right? Right, Chaz, right, Brian? I mean, you know, understanding, like you as an individual, understanding the underlying logic and the scope of what that little trust allow or like always allow button is asking you to do. We're kind of like reducing or kind of detaching ourselves from it. You just mentioned the guy who's pressing the approve button so much his finger hurts. He's got a callus on, a blister forming. What are we doing at Sumo there, Chaz, to make sure that like if there's human in the loop or on the loop, there's as much context as possible for that human that's involved, right? Because they need to know, like, hey, you're actually committing, you know, whatever an infrastructure's code change. Just need to go into a production system outside of your normal maintenance window because it's critical. These things could go wrong.
I can tell Jim is in the trenches.
Yeah.
So one of the things as we've been running what we call open preview, which is a fancy name for like early access, you know, beta. Many customers have been using this because we just had to do our due diligence. Probably the number one ask was, don't give me another black box AI solution that I can't really reverse engineer to, like, how did they get to this conclusion? And so early on, what we did was force the agent to almost think out loud. So when you say, help me investigate this, or what has this user been doing, it will run those queries, but every time it comes to a result, there's a little link. And if you click that link, it runs the exact query in your interface. So you can say, oh, that's why the AI came to this hypothesis. So showing the evidence collected, showing the reasoning, I think are really critical, because you can't just trust the conclusions that it's reaching. But then, you know, at the same time, eventually, I think as your trust improves, you have to spend less time like fact checking, which I think we've all lived through this over the last, you know, couple of years. Is like, I used to not believe anything that AI said, and now I'm like, it's probably right. So it's happening across the industry.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I love that. Like we still need to be able to open the black box, right?
Yeah.
Especially with something as critical as cybersecurity. When it comes to my travel agent, maybe not. Maybe like it's fine being the black box. But Chaz, it kind of like you've actually touched on. Yes, we are streaming every other Tuesday at 8. Thank you, producers. Producers are in my ear right now.
Say it.
Mendenhall, say the thing. Say the thing, Mendenhall. Chaz, you actually covered a couple different like stages of the cyber incident lifecycle, right? Like data generates an alert generates like an investigation. Is this a false positive? Is this actually a thing? We may have an incident. The incident goes through like cyber incident remediation lifecycle. And so all these things are different pieces of technology, right? You've got your correlation rules, your detection rules, your findings. You've got playbooks, you've got run books, which are different. So like how many pieces of this is Sumo Logic looking at when it comes to like applying an agent or applying AI with like throughout the entire cyber incident lifecycle?
Yeah, that is a really interesting question. And there was a presentation that I attended recently at Gartner, and the title of it was why reason when regex will do. And the idea was you can either have AI drive the car, which is almost like a high risk thing, or you can have AI build the car. And so when you look at applying AI to the whole cybersecurity framework, some of those are less appropriate than others, I would say. Like using AI to do real-time detection and just find the bad guys, probably not going to work at scale. However, as you mentioned, what if we use AI to solve some of the more deterministic problems, like write the rules? Okay, it could do that easily because it's just code, low token burn. What about tune the rules? Again, very easy. What about having AI write a deterministic playbook instead of trying to do the thing? Have AI write a programmatic, like step-by-step logic flow. Again, once it's created, there's no token burn. So as far as Sumo Logic goes, we're looking at all of these areas. SOC Analyst Agent went live last week. Our Detection Engineering Agent is right around the corner. So I'm super pumped about that, which is going to write and tune your rules. What we call conversational playbooks, where you just say, hey, make me a playbook to email the manager and disable the account and do these 5 other things. That's going to be a game changer too, because who wants to learn how to write a complex playbook? So yeah, I think as far as security, we're going to touch all aspects. It's just a matter of time, like how quickly we can get it to market.
Absolutely. Chaz, we're just at time, and I think that's about it for our time here, but we're not done. There's so many good things happening at Sumo. There's so many good things happening at AWS. Like I said, partner security magic, AWS like types and things, bring it together and magic happens. Chaz, this is a real life application. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us. Stick around. We will be right back.
See you soon.
Awkward pause.
Awkward pause.
I love it.
I think we're still on, Brian.
You know,
there's no coffee breaks here.
It doesn't matter. Ryan, I've got a question for you. If we're just going to roll like this, I've got a question for you.
You might hit me.
All right. What is one thing you are unreasonably good at that has zero practical value in life? Hey, welcome back. Before we get started, we ended the last show on a cliffhanger, and I'm not even going to do the intro yet, okay? Because Orsi, I asked you a question, and now like I want to hear from our guests as well. What Joe, you're going to be on this too. We're going to do this backwards. I don't even care. I do what I want. What is one thing in life that you are unnaturally good at that has like absolutely no value, no practical value in life? Orsi, I want to hear you first.
I can flick a quarter so it spins, and then I can stop it consistently, like 10 times in a row.
I don't know why you know that. That's weird. That is a weird thing.
We
Joe,
went camping
what do you got?
recently. It was yeah.
That was the thing?
I have a weird one, and it sounds a little bit similar to what Orsi said. A screw-off bottle cap. At some point, I think it was in college, I learned how to kind of invert my hand and flick it, and I can make it fly like a ridiculous distance. And I'm incredibly accurate with it too. Like 50 yards out, I can hit a target. It's I don't know how I learned how to do that. I tried it.
I've got kids. That feels very applicable. I know exactly how to use that talent. I will be sniping kids across the room, headshot all day long. No problem. All right, Orsi, you're up. You do the intro. I did the last one.
Folks, if you're wondering what you just tuned into, you've tuned into AWS Security Live. This is a cybersecurity show, believe it or not. We're going to get into it. You've got two hosts and a guest here. So I'm one of your co-hosts, Ryan Orsi, and a security go-to-market leader here at AWS. The guy that was just talking, got to say hello. Hi.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah. Brian, that's you.
I'll go, and then you go, Joe. Brian Mendenhall, Worldwide Security Partner Strategy Lead at AWS. Partner Magic, AWS Magic, Security Outcomes. Incredible.
Love it.
Joe, you're up.
Awesome. Yeah, Joe Gillespie. I lead product engineering at Booz Allen Hamilton. Booz Allen Hamilton is a long-standing provider of services to the federal government. And over the last several years, we've really made a big push and investment into building out a set of products. And those first set of products are focused in cybersecurity. So I've been back at Booz Allen. I had a really fun journey where I actually built some products, went out on a cool quest, started a startup, and grew that for several years. And 3 years ago, I was asked to come back and lead product engineering for Booz Allen. So I've been really focused and diligent. We've been building these things in the background for several years, and excited that we've now got some things launched and they're out in the public, and excited to talk about them today.
Awesome, Joe. This is kind of like Coronation Day. Then you're ready to go explore.
Yeah, it's great. It's been a lot of hard work. We've got an incredible team. I mean, Booz Allen has had just security professionals, especially cybersecurity professionals, for decades. We're the largest provider of cybersecurity talent to the federal government. Also AI capability, the largest provider of AI capability to the U.S. federal government. And so getting the opportunity to kind of stand at the vanguard of that and help marshal that into products that we can codify and really scale out the impact that we can deliver, it's been incredible. It's been the greatest journey of my career, the last few years especially. And yeah, we've launched under this banner called Vellox, but really it's just about trying to focus what we've learned, both offensively, what we know about adversaries and what they're doing. We're kind of at the forefront of what the U.S. government's doing on the offensive side and the defensive side, trying to defend the DoDIN and our intelligence networks. And so we're seeing this tradecraft play out. And it was like, how do we unlock this talent, especially with the explosion of AI and what we're seeing adversaries? They're unfettered. They don't have like compliance restrictions, et cetera. And so they're just wielding these things. And so it was like, how do we react faster? We can't do it with humans anymore. And so all these things came together. We put a lot of capital behind this, and we're just excited to be out there. I know you guys were at Black Hat last week. We had a huge presence there. So it was great.
Awesome. We saw you. And yep. Joe, maybe, what we can kind of kick it off here. Oh yes, producers are so good at keeping Brian and I in line. Where is everyone watching from? I said dialing in last episode. That's so dated. Terrible. But if you could tell us about adversarial trends, you probably can't say exact terms and phrases, I'm guessing, without a certain like recording something happening on this the stream. But what are the adversaries up to in general? I mean, are they experts at weaponizing AI, or are they still kicking the tires?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I would say that there's like there always has been, there's a range of adversaries that we're talking about. So when you get up into, the highest end and you talk about nation states that are well funded and they're persistent and, they're really digging in. They are experts and very proficient at using AI, and they have like their own proprietary things, and they're leveraging their own infrastructure and all the things you would expect. But one of the most challenging things that we're seeing is the proliferation. Like AI, it seems silly and it's maybe overdone a little bit, but the pace at which things are moving and that new capabilities come out, not just new models, but new harnesses, new techniques, just academia is rolling out new things. And what we're seeing is adversaries who in the past, maybe it would have taken, months to years to weaponize some new technique that came out and push it out. And then, you see it out in the wild. Now with using AI to do development and flip out capabilities more quickly, you can have someone who in the past was maybe kind of quarantined to being a script kiddie. They could just download something that someone else had written and just launch it. Well, now they're able to generate something completely novel. Yeah. That's scary. And then coming up with their own 0 days, right? The democratization of the discovery of 0 days, that's another sort of scary parallel. So those are the biggest trends that we're seeing, is just the expansion of the adversarial base. It's not just these high-end sophisticated nation states that we have to worry about. It's kind of everyone who can wield these things.
Yeah, absolutely. And Joe, before we go any further, I want to let you know you have an absolute following in chat. People from all over the globe, and a lot of go Booz Allen, a lot of Booz lovers in chat. So we see you all. Thank you for chiming in. Also, make sure you drop some questions in there. Joe is here to tell us what's inside the black box. I want to ask government secret questions, and my producers are telling me that I can't do that. So there's going to be a black bar and it says redacted. I think that's going to come out here pretty soon. But Joe, so we're talking a little bit about how the bad guys are using AI. Sometimes when I use AI, like, hey, Claude, what should I wear? What should I wear today? And sometimes it's like, you should wear, like a clown suit. Or sometimes it just doesn't respond. It kind of like trips out and shuts down. So there's still are we seeing in security any reliability issues with the AI that we use when it comes to potential hallucinations? Is there a concern if we're using AI for threat detection that there's a potential for hallucination or kind of a skipped bit or byte along the way? How are we looking at kind of the reliability and quality of AI in security?
Yeah, very real concerns. I mean, we've all seen it with our use of just, as you mentioned, for everyday life, where we're using some chatbot. We'll get some wild answers, some things that are wildly wrong. I can give specific concrete examples in the cybersecurity domain that we've seen very recently. But before maybe I get into some of those anecdotes, I would address it by saying that the solutions are not novel. I can't tell you anything that probably you haven't heard, but it's worth repeating, right? These large language models, which is a lot of what we're talking about now, which is a little unfortunate because there exists a range of artificial intelligence and what we used to call machine learning, more classic models that. So I'm doing a doctorate in AI. I just entered my research phase, and a lot of those courses, the professors are almost lamenting. They're like, please don't forget about all these other things. So convolutional neural networks still have there's just so many other opportunities to apply powerful algorithms that are not large language models, but large language models capture the zeitgeist. They're doing amazing things. So I think it's important to respond on that vein, because it is everyone who's building a solution now their solution is backed by some large language model. Agents and agentic is just the term du jour. With large language models, they're trained on some corpus, some set of data, and it's a series of layered, it's a neural network with a series of layers in between, and they're really just trying to predict tokens. That's what large language models are optimized to do. You give them some input, it runs through this crazy network that people don't truly understand. No one really understands exactly how they work, but then they predict a set of tokens on the backside. And they're optimized to give you an answer. They're going to predict tokens. So whether those are the correct ones, whether they're perfect, that is that is not a solved problem. It is an open problem.
I call that, Joe, the Helpy McHelperson phenomena.
They
want to be a good helper, do a good job, and they're going to go maybe make something up to provide that gap.
And when I use them, it makes me feel so good. The dopamine hit I get when a large language model tells me, "Great job, good question, you're so smart." I just love that, right? And
it knows.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's all about trying to optimize what we feed into them, and then we need to have guardrails. We need to have independent, distinct guardrails that check what comes out. And we need to understand, and that's both for tool calling and what are they doing. I know again, there's been these very high profile cases of agents breaking out of their secure frameworks, and they're able to hack Hugging Face. I think there are questions about the setup, what happened there, the marketing buzz and the benefit that those companies got. I don't want to be like a conspiracy theorist, but there are real questions to be had about like how and why did those things happen.
That internet proxy that was put in place looked a little flaky when you checked it out. And then it spent 2 days, like 48 hours solid, sending emojis back and forth, I think, for a while.
Right. If we're saying that these have now become the most powerful and most sophisticated hackers in the world, like who's wielding them? It's a human being that's initiating these. You can say that they're large agentic looping runs and they run for days and days. Okay, fine. But a human initiated those. A human told it what to do, and a human put those security boundaries in place. And it's like shocking to me that all of the discussion has been like, well, oh my gosh, it's so amazing that they were able to break out. Maybe we need to slow down and go. It's like, what failed? Who did this?
Yeah.
Where's the fault? Yeah. The fault is all pointed at the large language model, which is an inanimate object. Like humans ultimately control. So that would be my direct answer is like, yes, we have to have guardrails in place. We need to control things. And we have to make sure that humans are, number one, accountable. And number two, humans cannot cognitively surrender. That's the biggest danger I see with the advent of AI, is that humans, go into this mode where they're like
Wally mode. We just go into our lazy boy chairs.
We get dumb.
Sit back.
Yeah, we get dumb.
Sip a soda. Relax.
I picked my color floating chair and my drink, like a Slurpee of my. How about this hard hitting question, Joe? What's your Slurpee of choice? When Wally is a reality, what are you going to have in your cup, buddy?
I'm going blue raspberry. I avoid anything that has red 40 in it. I believe it disrupts my ADHD brain.
A man that's with convictions. I respect this, Joe. I really do.
Love it. Pulling on the thread you're talking about here, Joe, is that now we have frontier models that are purposely built for attacking environments, right? We have like these AI-powered vulnerability, like pen testing type of tools that are purpose-built to attack, like seek, kill, and destroy. Ryan, that was a reference for you, buddy.
Metallica is my favorite band. I love it.
My man, I got you, brother.
Thank you.
But we've got these models out there that are designed to do that, and we're giving them the prompts to like go attack. Obviously, there's we put a tinfoil little paper thin barrier, and they say but don't execute,
yeah.
Or
by the way,
but stop here.
To all you tinfoil hat wearers out there, feel free to lob your most difficult question at Joe here in the chat. He is ready for you.
I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I do agree. We've participated, we've been using Mythos for months and months now. We've been using GPT Cyber. We are deeply entrenched in trying to use the capabilities and break the capabilities, test their limits. One anecdote that I thought of sharing before, but I'll share now because I think it fits in well. So we have a capability called Reverser, right? That was the first capability we launched under this Vellox banner. And it's focused on trying to fully disassemble and understand an arbitrary binary, a thing that's suspected to be malware. So we've had great success recently in pointing it at ransomware, and we were able to, we had a client who was looking to do incident response. They had been hit by a piece of malware, and they needed a bunch of their data was now encrypted, and they were like, we may need to pay this ransom, and it was $1 million ransom that they needed to pay. Or maybe it was a $2 million ransom. And we used Reverser. We were able to take it apart, and we were able to find a flaw in the encryption algorithm that the adversary used to produce that piece of ransomware, because I'm sure they used vibe coding to flip this thing out. And so we found this flaw, and we were able to decrypt the data without paying the ransom. Voila, it's amazing. So then we took Mythos, and we were like, hey, could we do the same thing with Mythos? We ran it through Mythos, and we were like, could you give us a decryption capability for this? And Mythos was like, yeah, I got it. I created a encryption and decryption, and here it is. And it did it super fast. It actually was faster than Reverser. And we were like, wow, that's amazing how powerful it's become. And then we tested it on the actual data, and it didn't work. And we were like, what happened? So we dug into it, spent a whole bunch more tokens trying to analyze, because it was like adamant. Look, I've tested it 5 times, and I'm telling you, I'm able to encrypt the data and then decrypt it. It turns out it used an academic definition for the algorithm the adversary used to implement that encryption. And it was like, okay, this is how that algorithm gets implemented. I now built the encryptor, and then I built a decryptor, and I validated that it works. In its implementation, it worked great. Well, the adversary didn't implement it exactly the way the textbook said. And so it was not a solution, not a viable solution, period. And so it just illustrates the point that if we put too much trust in these things and we assume that they're working because they're so confident and they provide, they're always in verbose mode, right? It's impossible to turn that off. We get lulled into this false sense of they're magical, they're mythical. That's why they named it what they named
Mythos, and they're by definition non-deterministic systems. I think you're right, Joe. So you could ask it. In security, we have an aversion, we have an allergy to non-deterministic answers, right? Is this a threat? Yes or no? Should this port be blocked? Yes or no? Should this user identity be decommissioned? Yes or no? And a non-deterministic system may say, it depends, or yes today, but maybe not so much the next hour. How do you all at Booz deal with that? I mean, I'm sure you've got quite a bit of expertise here building at Booz controllable systems here for AI security.
Yeah.
How do you put some more governance and guardrails around that?
That's such a great question. And that was the question that we got more than any other question. So we first launched Reverser, then we launched Ranger, and we kept getting this question of but how do I trust it? We have these series of agents that are breaking down tasks, and we would describe how they would work. And it's but any one of these things, to your point, I know we use non-deterministic, I like to say stochastic, because inside these layers of neural networks, there's actually intentional randomness injected. We don't take the top answer all the time. So it's really intentionally random. So how do we guard against that? The answer was, and finally we started telling people, well, we have this capability inside that we built because we couldn't find anything outside that would give us an independent assurance layer. So we had this thing, and internally we codenamed it Layer 1. And we were using it to do a few things. The first thing was immutable logging. Anything that any agent tries to do, we want to make sure that it is captured externally and then logged, and that log can't be tampered with. It's an independent system. That's what Layer 1 was at first. And then we said, okay, now let's put a governance enforcement layer in. We can write governance in different ways. It could be as simple as regex. If you ever see this word in there, let it go. Or it could be, more kind of LLM as judge, describe it in human language, what you want. And then we have conditions. You can fail it and block it, or you can warn, or you could redact it, or these different conditions. So this is what Layer 1 was doing. And then we optimized a plugin. So we have a series of plugins that was specific for hallucination detection. Very sophisticated work that we put in over months to say, okay, what would a hallucination look like? How would we detect it? How could we do it? How could we optimize it so we don't have to send the whole query again?
Now I see why the immutable logs are so important. If you've all ever experienced, and even the viewers watching, you switch between sessions against your AI harness, and you're vibe coding something, and the next morning the sessions reach this maximum limit, right? So it's going to hand off the context to the new session. It has to go rethink itself again, unless you've wisened that up a little bit. But still, to your point there, immutable logs, single source of truth. Now, hallucination detection. Walk us through a little bit, one layer deeper on that one, Joe. That's a very real and present conversation Brian and I get pulled into all day, every day.
Yeah, it is. It's about, you have a set of evidence. There's things that you've packed into the context window, right? And getting to source of truth is really the goal of every product that we have in the Vellox suite. It's all about trying to get truth. If you can get to truth and what the facts are about whatever you're trying to analyze, then you can look at what analysis was done, and you can look at the output. You can try to determine, was that fact made up, or can I find that grounded in truth? That's really what we're trying to do on hallucination detection. Is this based in fact, or was it pulled from the corpus, the body of data that this large language model was trained on, and it has no tie to the facts that we're dealing with? So we try to build up this knowledge graph And the knowledge graph is what we feed into any agentic system and where we're trying to make a decision. So our hallucination detector is able to go back and look at the facts that were presented and then figure out whether, okay, is that grounded in truth, or was it, likely a hallucination?
So you're throwing philosophical words out there, right? Truth and and also what you're describing is like the concept of cognitive dissonance. And so I wonder, Joe, how much we're going to start applying psychological and philosophical concepts to our AI to improve them for the outcomes that we're looking towards, and also to make sure our robot overlords are kind to us, its subjects. But that's what we're talking about, right? Is like, hey, making sure that what you think and what is reality, that you're aware of that gap, and that's like self-identification of a hallucination. Like, are we going towards AI psychology, like at some point, or philosophy?
I think that the psychology, philosophy, the morals that we have when we build these systems get reflected in what comes out of them. There's a XAI talks about a set of tenets, and there's one in particular that I align with, like at a cellular level, and that is the only correct answer for AI is that it needs to be maximally truth-seeking. So, like, if an AI is lying because of bias or because of whatever, that is where we get off track. So we need we need to have objective reality. We need to have objective truth, and we need to make sure that we are constructing both models, but then also systems built on those models that focus on maximal truth seeking.
So be a critical thinker, folks, out there, right? I tell my kids this all the time. I got two young boys, and I'm like, think critically. Don't just accept what the bots tell you from the front page, right? And so, speaking of thinking critically, I think user Brian's going to pronounce that name. Ends with Flory 5 has kind of mapped you out, Joe.
I'm going to say Ty's Flory. Ty's Flory 5. Put in chat if it's wrong or give us a phonetic spelling, because I want to get this right.
And then there's a follow-up question about what are the best ways to teach ethics to models. Is that just start with us, Joe? Be a good person.
Yeah, I do think it is about being a good person, but then codifying what that framework is, your philosophical framework, and making sure that as you're building in every step. Yeah, I would say with layer 1, we are trying to build. There are pieces of that are deterministic. I won't pretend that they're all deterministic. When you start to inject things like LLM as judge, there's going to be non-determinism, or it's going to be stochastic at some level, but it's independent, right? So it shouldn't, if it does hallucinate, it shouldn't be in the same way, and you can wrap multiple layers of it. So yeah, I would say that question got it right. With layer 1, we've tried to build, and I think it's super important with layer 1 or whatever, anyone building a capability on top of a large language model, you can't trust, right? You have to verify, right? You need to have some independent layer that shows you every single thing that agent did, whether there was human in the loop or not. And then you need to have something that intervenes, right? If it's going to go off the rails, it can't just be a child running with scissors and you just let it, run across a rocky terrain. You have to do something. Sorry, I was trying to do my best hand gesture
movement.
It's pretty good.
It's hard to follow these mighty footsteps of Brian. He's just
wow.
got a way with the hands.
So Joe, like as the conversation kind of moves forward, I'm curious, assuming that models will become more accurate, that they'll become more intelligent, they'll be more truth seeking, more truth outputting. One of the things we've noticed is like this kind of like AI disruption. We've taken traditional security controls. We've like figured out how to bolt more hand things. Bolt, I'm always hungry, Ryan. Bolt AI onto traditional security controls. And so it's like it like, and everybody in every industry everywhere started with this, like, hey, I need a chat bot. And then it's like, well, actually I need to learn how to like attach AI to my current business process. And then at some point, I think we're starting to see like complete transformation of entire use cases, right? And that's like AI penetration testing is a great example of that. Went from people to people with tools to like blow the whole thing apart and start over. Are we going to see that continue across the security control landscape? And if so, Like, what does your crystal ball say is the next thing that's ripe for disruption?
Yeah, great question. I mean, I do think that we'll continue to see that evolution. I think that one of the things that we need to combat and we need to make sure we get right is we need to have predictability and repeatability, and you don't get those from large language models. You never will. It's in their core nature of what they are. They're not meant to be repeatable. So you can use them to go at lightning pace to build out, highly automated solutions to take on every single workflow that we do manually in the cybersecurity arena. Every single one. If you don't have either AI injected today, or you don't have some solution that was constructed by AI that like fully automates it, it's just a matter of time. That's definitely coming. But that's coming, I would argue, everywhere. Automation, just the pace of automation is the only thing that's changed with kind of the awakening of AI. But the importance is we need to have humans that still are the ultimate actors, right? They need to be the ones wielding this. So the next thing that I would say is ripe for disruption is difficult. I think we're already seeing, you've seen it ubiquitous. The construction of detection logic is ubiquitous. Where we spend a tremendous amount of time is digging into building out this in this vein of maximal truth seeking, building out a terrain map, a perfectly true and correct terrain map of what you're trying to defend. This is a point I wanted to make sure I made, and so I'll answer the question in this vein. The persistent advantage that defenders have over the offense. If I'm a bad guy, I'm like spraying and praying. And so, I can use a really sophisticated model to like do reconnaissance and then to like try to interrogate and then fire shots and see what sticks. And I only have to be right one time. That's always true. That's the advantage the adversary has. The advantage that the defender has is they have access to everything. They're on the inside. And so we need to take better advantage of that persistent advantage that we have. And that's where we try to spend a lot of time. And I think there's huge disruption coming there. I mean, that's what we're betting on, is like digging in and being able to discover every nook and cranny of everything that's running everywhere, and how ultimately you should be able to predict how an adversary would get after what you have not just exposed, but what's sitting on the inside. Then you should be able to come up with ways to defend it more quickly.
I think you're digging tunnels from multiple angles here, Joe. So I like the philosophical thinking of let's make sure we understand everything and that it's as accurate as possible. Your tunnel. Mm-hmm. Brian and I did 37 interviews last week at Black Hat with other guests who are digging 37 other tunnels, saying let's put code review requests out there into the pipeline and maybe have an agent just approve the code push straight to production, man. So I tend to lean like somewhere in the middle there, right? I want to make sure that what's being pushed out is not malicious, right? Like, how do I know that the actual fix has not been tampered with? But I know we're getting close to time, and Brian's dying to lob in a journalistically deep question here at the end.
Hard-hitting questions with Mendenhall. You get one free pass to blame anything on the algorithm. What are you blaming it for?
I think
is this like when someone finds the browser history, or is that?
Yeah, whoa. We're talking about the algorithm, and we've been talking all day about the accuracy of LLMs. So what are you you got to blame one thing on the algorithm? What is it?
The mess that is my schedule, and the fact that I'm always late for everything. Let's pretend like AI controls that, and that's why I'm late for everything.
Fair. Very fair. Joe from Booz Allen, thank you so much for joining us on Security Live. Folks, we'll be back streaming every other Tuesday, 8 to 9 a.m. Pacific. Have a great day, everybody.